Welcome to Breathe, Move, Rest. I want to share with you a very gentle, adaptive movement practice today, inspired by Bartenioff. And from her work, this is called the fundamentals of movement, the basic six. Now, to keep it accessible and adaptable, given that you're there and I'm here, please honor your own body, your own practice with a compassion, rather than push something that might feel threatening. And the first time that we do this practice together, you might have to sit up and look at the movements that I'm making in my body. But eventually, I hope that you can just listen to the cues and take this practice to guide you into deeper intimacy with the movements of your bones and your tissues. And in doing so, connect to that deeper sense of your source, your center. So let's begin with breath. Find a comfortable posture, whether that's seated or reclined. We will all come to a reclining to begin our pre-work, our movement work. So, if that is where you want to begin, please do so. Elongate the spine. Soften the muscles of the face, the neck and the throat, the shoulders, the back, and the buttocks. Feel the breath as it enters and exits the body. And then to help facilitate this sense of coming to our centered being, our centered self, a place of calm abiding, let's take about 10 rounds of alternate nostril breathing. Now there's different traditions in what is called alternate nostril breathing. The one that I'm using is that you come in, inhale through the left side, and then you exhale out the right side. And then you'll inhale through the right side and return that exhale out the left side. That's one round. Now, if you have a preferred variation of alternate nostril breathing or nadi shodhana, please feel free to adapt. I'm holding a variation of the Vishna mudra. So Vishna mudra, the fingers come down. I'm holding them at my forehead to prop and support a vertical spine. Closing off the right nostril, I breathe in through the left side. Closing off the left side, I open the right and exhale out the right nostril. Inhale through the right nostril. Close to open the left, and then exhale out the left side. And don't be alarmed, don't be surprised if one side is more open than the other. Just breathe where there is an open channel to breathe, with that attention alternating from right to left. If you've already started, congratulations, well done, keep going. If you haven't yet started your 10 rounds, let's begin with the left inhale. 2 more rounds, exiting the final breath out the left side. Release the mudra, the hand position, release the breath control. Feel the breath return. Has it shifted its dominant nostril? Has it shifted its volume or its pace? Just notice. Okay, let's go ahead and come on down to our backs. Start with your knees bent and the feet standing. Then continue to adjust until you feel the length of your spine, and as much as you can, feel the shoulder blades flatten, tucking underneath the body. Now this first movement is really very subtle. You're going to press down and forward through your feet to create kind of a pelvic rocking. It's very minimal. It's just going to kind of exaggerate that movement of the low back. And that movement will reverberate up, and perhaps you might even feel a little bit of the cervical spine in the neck, getting that similar front to back, anterior, posterior tilt. Another variation of this is to simply extend your legs long, and they can be a little bit wider than your hip sockets. That will ease some of the glute med action. Again, flatten out the tissue of the buttocks as you need to, and then we're just going to flex and point gently, quickly, without a lot of muscular effort, just a back and forth of the toes through that ankle joint. So it's a dorsal flexion to a plantar flexion, but not exaggerated. And that too will echo up through the thighs into the spine again. Rest. The legs are bent, go ahead and extend them out long. Now I'll bring the knee to stand. So I'm starting with my right leg, doesn't matter which one. You're just going to draw the foot to the floor, the knee skates up towards the sky, and then extend it out again. Slide it up. Extend it out. Now you're going to feel a bit perhaps of a seesaw in the pelvis, a little bit of a rocking right to left. It's okay. Notice what you notice. You might even bring your hands to the front of your hip bones. I've got my sticky mat underneath me, making it a little more difficult for me to slide my foot today. In hindsight, this is better done on a smooth surface like just a linoleum floor, or as this is, this wood floor. You just notice it's just not as comfortable to lay on the hard floor. My undermat is much more supple as opposed to my sticky mat. Maybe one or two more. Good. Now before we transition to the second side, go ahead and extend that leg out and let the body rest. I feel like my right side is literally a little bit lower. Kind of having exaggerated or worked that hip flexor. Now that the leg is resting, this is opening up perhaps for you as well. Moving to the second side, again I'm going to slide my foot up and I'm going to just kick my sticky mat out of the way as I resume that same effort of slowly drawing the knee in and extending the heel out long. Now for me, I find that an inhale might work best for that extension, and the exhale helps to support the flexion of that knee coming forward. Just notice for yourself, if you want to move slow enough that you can exhale on both movements, that'll be even more in line with activating the deeper core abdominal muscles to support this movement. And we're looking to cultivate an ease here. So if that means you do the same number of times on each side, great. But if you're one side dominant like I am, you might find that a few more rounds on one side helps you find your way back to a centered ease. And it might not be the dominant side that needs more. Right? So just listen. If you don't know, just stick with doing an even amount. And then coming back to rest in that X shape and ease. So now we're going to move into a little more of that hip flex work. So go ahead and stand the feet. And now we're going to bring the knee up towards the body. So you're already perhaps feeling how the pelvis has flattened out a bit because the knees have bent up towards the sky. So same thing, repeating one side at a time. I like to exhale and set it back down. Now this was taught to me with the exhale and the inhale. But honestly, I find that there's more stabilization, particularly for someone who has a long history of low back pain, that if I do the inhale here, gravity does most of the work, and then exhale while I resist the pull of my leg down towards gravity, I brace through my belly. Inhale. Now there's not a lot of room here for that deep belly inhale as the leg comes in. And then exhale. Now for any reason you need some additional support here, you could even use a strap around your thigh to help lift your leg. But I want to encourage you to keep your arms, the upper arms, on the floor so that it doesn't become a muscular throwing or dominating from the upper body. You want to use the hip flexors here. Maybe 3 more. Rest. Maybe widen the feet and let the knees land in. As the knees rest, go ahead and box the elbows and just rock the elbows from side to side. The elbows release and fall back out to your side. Moving to the second side, You're going to bring that knee up towards the torso. So again, follow your breath. Linger in the ease with that foot down. Feel the disengagement of the effort. Good, 2 more. Again, as the feet land, take them wide, let the knees rest together. Now the arms are going to come by your side with the thumbs up towards the ceiling. As you inhale, let the arms float up towards the sky. That's enough. And bring them back down. If that feels fluid, you can actually take them up and overhead, whether they touch down behind you or not. Bring the arms back down by your side. Keeping the palms facing one another helps honor that rotator cuff, the balance of the humerus bone coming into that shoulder. And don't be afraid if you've got to widen your arms a little bit to get around the bony structure, the acromion process of your shoulder. Good, 2 more. And as you bring your hands down from this final reach up and over, you're welcome to lay them by your side and leave them there. Or you might like to bring them out a little more to a goddess pose. Again, tucking those shoulder blades down. We're coming now into what we would call a bridge pose, or a shifting of the hips up. So essentially, you can have your feet as close to the buttocks as you want. And the closer the feet are to the buttocks, the easier this is, because we're using leverage of the angle to help pulley ourselves up. I tend to like my feet just beyond my fingertip reach, so I get a little more balance of the muscular work of the front and the back of the thigh. But find what works for you. We're just going to bring the hips up. So we're going to exhale, press the heels into the floor, lift the hips, and rise up towards the sky. So it's not quite so much perhaps of the scrolling of the spine that we do in our bridge lift, but it's not the scrolling of the spine either. Just consider, as the weight increases on that upward lift, meaning it increases into your head and shoulders, be mindful not to add too much movement to your head, so that not to pinch off the spinal cord in the upper neck. Again, I like to exhale as I press down to rise up. Take a breath at the top, inhale, and exhale once again. Now, if you're finding that your knees are wobbling quite a bit, or dropping in or dropping out, then bring in a prop, a pillow or a block that has some shape and form to help honor that balance of the internal and external activation of your hips. I'm going to take a few more here. Last one. And As you come on down, go ahead and extend the arms out into a above head X, and extend the legs out long, perhaps even wider than your mat. Good, so coming back into that pelvic lift, this time we're going to add a little bit of a shift. So let me show you what I mean by that, right? So in other words, the same hip lift, but as we come to the top, we're going to shift the hips to one side and then lower them back down. Lift them up off that off center and come back and down to center. Up through center, now shift to the second side and lower down. Take your time. Now you can stay with that simple right, down, left, down, or you could alternate. Lift up, go to one side and down, come all the way up and over to the second side and down. Up that second side, back to center and down. Good, up center to the second side and down and up and all the way across to the first side, back to center and down. Good, take your time. Come back to the first variation. Good, your last round here. Good. And then go ahead and adjust the width and length of the feet from the buttocks and start to sway from side to side, a little windshield wipering of the knees. Now as you windshield wiper, go ahead and give a press into that back foot. So as my knees fall to the right, I'm pressing into that back foot, getting a little more reach with that left hip. And the same thing to the second side. Sometimes this one might feel a little bit like a shoulder blade walk, walking down your mat. And if that happens, just begin again, reset. Okay, my knees are going to fall now to the right side, right? So as they fall to the right, again, they may or may not touch down. Now, my backhand, my left hand is going to turn face down to the floor, circle, drawing all the way up and over and around. And repeat. Same thing, same direction. Pause. And now we're going to reverse the arms. So the arms are going to reach overhead, Same reach, and then roll it back. Now, as you do this, that right arm might take on a little more pressure, in which case you can even roll onto your forearm and swing it around. Right? This will add that reverse to open. Now, you can stay with that overhead back and forth, or add that lifting, lowering to open. Good. Back to the knee sway. Lift the hips, reset the pelvis, and drop the knees the other way. Adjust for comfort. And then now the right hand is going to go down and around and open. Okay, we're going to take this in the other way. So pause. Another hand travels overhead. Stack the shoulders. Keep swinging that top arm around till it comes home. And up and over. And you can use that length to roll onto that left forearm and over into your rotation. Take it back and peel it open. On down. As you release the legs and the arms into that X shape once again, adjust by lifting the hips, lowering them back to the floor, and finding that comfort and ease. Now the arms are going to start to reach out towards kind of that upper X shape. And we're just going to start by bringing the elbow and the knee together on the right side. They may or may not touch, just slide them in, and then extend them out. And slide them in, and extend them out. That's it. I'm swiveling my head to the right as well, an optional adaptation. Last one here. Good. Other side. Okay, so now we're going to add a little bit of effort. As the right side comes together, the left side is going to reach long. So right side comes together, the left side reaches long. And then back and alternate. arm swivel, maybe a little knee sway, hip lift, and rest. Using your left hand and your left foot, roll over onto your right side, cradle your head and tuck your knees in. And press down to rise back up to your seated position. Notice how it feels to embody your body, to receive your breath, and to align your effort with the tissues and the intention of self-care. Thank you so much for doing this practice with me and adapting to your body and your story. May you breathe deeply and move freely. May you labor lovingly and live vibrantly. Namaste.